Good evening, everybody. It is now 6:05 on July 3rd, 2023. I'd like to call to order the Community Development Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Chairman Hayes.
Present.
Alderman Newsom. Present. Alderman Turner.
Present.
Alderman Donenworth.
Present.
Alderman Florian. Present.
Okay, item C is, may I please have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes of the the June 5th, 2023 meeting of the Community Development Committee?
Motion.
Second.
I have a question about this. The minutes say that Chairman Rivera called the meeting to order and he's no longer an alderman. So I think we probably need to change that to...
We'll make that correction.
Chairman
I'm
Hayes.
sorry, that was an oversight.
That's okay.
He's here in spirit. Okay, we had a first from Alderman Turner and a second from Alderman Donenworth. It's a motion to approve the minutes of the June 5th, 2023 meeting of the Community Development. Alderwoman Florian had a question. Are there any other questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Audience time. Are there any members of the audience that would like to address the committee? All right. Old business, there being none. On to new business. Item A is a discussion of the City of Waukegan Community Development Block Grant CDBG Program Year 2022 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report. CAPER, C-A-P-E-R.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Now we can.
So I am coming to you tonight. We put this out for a 15-day comment period to take a look at the CAPER, to examine it. It details the accomplishments that we accomplished during our 2020 program year 2022 year, which is May 1, 2022 to April 30th, 2023. It lays out the different programs that we did and what we accomplished. It is a draft, so we're still taking any suggestion, questions, identifying anything that might have been overlooked or mistaken. I actually just seen something just a few seconds ago when I was looking at it again. So overall, just to go over briefly, the numbers that you see it gives you the goals that we identified in our consolidated plan. And the numbers, they look crazy. They never make any sense. This is not my doing. This is IDIS, the Integrated Disbursement Information System, which is HUD system in which they come up with these numbers. And we don't have a way to correct these. These are generated when you do the report. But throughout the program, we explain in the narrative the actual numbers that we receive for the different programs. It talk about the racial and ethnic composition and the number of people who were serviced through our public service programs. For example, on page number 8, in addition, it talks about our housing rehab program on page 11. Our goal was to do 10 rehabs a year. We did a total of 16 this year. We talk about homelessness. We talk about the other things that we do. We're actually in the process. We still have programs that are ongoing now that was identified. The lead line replacement program, the beach accessibility program, the sidewalk improvement program, the CARES Act small business program, and the micro enterprise business program. Those are ongoing activities that we're currently doing now. I actually just received the grant application from HUD today. So the mayor signed off on it, and we need to get it back to HUD so that we'll be able to get our funding for program year 2023, which is really a good thing for us because last year we received our funding in November. So we never get it May 1 as we should when the program year starts over, but this year it seems like hopefully we'll be getting it before the end of August, hopefully. So meanwhile, we're still doing our projects from program year 2022 funding. So we're actually still using that funding and going forward. What else I wanted to point out? Oh, any questions about anything?
Yes, ma'am. Director, this is a performance evaluation report. Is that, who's doing the evaluation? HUD is evaluating?
Well, we put into the system what we've done throughout the year.
Right.
And then once we do the 15-day, so you guys take a look at it.
So you're reporting to HUD?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then they take a look at it and basically approve. If they see anything wrong, they always find. HUD always finds something. So then we had to respond to it.
So they're evaluating what your input against what you previously input as your goals.
Yeah. So our goals that we put in for the consolidated plan,
Right.
Then the action plan is what we do yearly,
Right, right.
And then CAPER, we're telling what our accomplishments we done for that year, and they evaluate them.
Is there a methodology wherein your department receives feedback from the community?
Yes, that's what this is for. It's a 15-day comment period, so they can respond to it. We also, when we do the public hearing for the action plan, they can have anything to say about our funding, the program, whatever they would like to say.
So how does that work? You're going to do a series of public hearings where you just publicize, hey, call us if you had a problem, or?
So for example, for this, we do a 15-day comment period for this particular report. However, coming down, we'll be doing a public hearing for an amendment to the action plan. So whenever we do an amendment to that, that's a 30-day comment period. They can do it in writing, they can email it to us, they can call it in, however they want to do it. They can let us know what they think. And as a matter of fact, I have come up with a survey that we also hand out, like for example, for the housing rehab program, to get feedback from the homeowners about what they think about their experience was, what they thought about the rehab, the whole process. So that's something that I've implemented here. Actually, a couple weeks ago, I actually implemented that, so we'll get the feedback from the public.
Cool.
So if there's anything we need to change. Or
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Alderwoman Florian?
Thank you, sir. So I know you said in the beginning the numbers on pages 3, 4, and 5 are crazy, but all of them say percent complete 0. Why is that?
Because they're still technically open, because we have the con plan. So the con plan is from program year 2020 to 2024. So you won't have final numbers until the whole con plan is completed.
Okay. Seems crazy that they even put that in there then if it's not gonna be anything but 0. So, and then on page 11, down at the bottom, it says, discuss the difference between goals and outcomes and problems encountered in meeting the goals. Challenges such as a delay in the allocation distribution, an available pool of contractors, and the lack of qualified contractors. So I know you guys held an open house trying to get contractors,
Mm-hmm.
right? Was that over the winter? I can't remember.
Yes, we did it in, I believe it was either January or February.
Okay,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter, but I knew it was in about 6 months ago. So was that successful? Have you?
Yes,
you
we
increased?
actually did, to date, we actually got a total of 15 new contractors.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
So roughly what you've done, you said you've done 10, so that's a little less than 1 a month. So now that you have these new contractors, you're gonna be able to do more? Is that?
Yeah, so like, for example, we have a list of, like I said, 110 people on the list. That grows all the time. We'll get an emergency. I mean, we got a couple of people who put in for an application as of today. So we get emergencies all the time. So we do emergencies right away, and then we have substantials. If you're on the list, then we'll get to you. If you receive an emergency, you'll stay on the list. Once your name comes up, then we would do a substantial rehab, which is we would do more. So for example, if you have a plumbing issue, we want to do the plumbing issue right away, and then we will address code violations and safety issues once your name comes up for the substantial. It varies so much. So, and then it just depends on if we're able to get contractors to bid on the jobs and stuff like that. So like I said, the lack of contractors, and then we'll have new contractors. They'll sign up, they'll do everything, and then when we send the bids out, we won't get a response because some of them, they have been so busy. So busy, so they can take their pick, really, you know, so we're kind of at the mercy of the contractors.
So one more question, and then I'll be done. You mentioned the emergencies, so how many of those do you do in a year? That's, I'm assuming, not included in the 10 substantial?
Yeah, no, this is included, so we actually ended up doing, we did 13 emergencies, and we actually, no, I'm sorry, we did 14 emergencies. This is incorrect. We did 14 emergencies and 2 substantials.
So 16 for the year, basically?
16 for the year.
Okay. Thank you.
I have just a couple quick questions. 16 for the year, is that what got you to the $700,000 on page 9? It said to date 702,000 and change of the slightly less than 1.1 million have been expended.
On what page?
Page 9 in the narrative.
No, so that's actually since 2020.
Okay.
So it's keeping a running total of the amount that we're spending.
Okay. Do we expect to receive the same amount in HUD funding that we received for last year or for the last year?
No, we actually got a decrease of around $65,000. So it's like $726,000 and some change that we got. So that's the allocation that we're getting. However, we still have funding that we have from the previous year that adds together to be able to do the other projects, as well as we do have some COVID money that we have left that we have to spend. Okay. So we have that amount of money to spend. But yeah, it decreased a lot, $65,000.
Okay.
So.
Was there any reason for the decrease?
They said that they added more entitlement communities. So as they add more entitlement community, that takes away from us. And then another thing in terms of, that's why the census is so important, because we need real numbers. And if our numbers decrease, then that decreases the amount of money that we get for low to moderate income people in our community. So that makes a difference.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
May I ask a
last question, I'm sorry. Last question, or maybe suggestion, and you might be doing this, so I apologize, but are we working with, or is your group working with code enforcement when they go out and they see a code violation that they may be able to recommend to the homeowner or whomever?
Yes, so as a matter of fact, we're working with them. So our emergency list that we have, we also treat code violations as emergencies too. Okay. So technically we're doing emergencies, and then once we get done with emergencies, plumbing, roof leak, that kind of thing, then that goes on to address code violations, exterior code violations that they may see and stuff like that. So we do address that. One thing we do not do fences. We don't address fences. We do not do driveways. So that's something that we do not do outside of a rehab. So if we did a sewer issue and we tore up the driveway, yes, we would replace the driveway, but we wouldn't just do it. And another code violation we get a lot is fences, driveways, and garages or outhouses or whatever. If the garage is not attached, we cannot address it. So a lot of code violations are those things, and we can't address those. But other than that, we could address them.
Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you. Alderwoman Bolton, did you have a question?
Yeah. What qualifies the entitlement community, as you had mentioned?
You have to have a number of low to moderate income individuals in your community. And with us, we're also a part of a consortium, so it's Lake County, North Chicago, and the city of Waukegan, and we're all together. So because of that, we're able to get home dollars in which we don't have to compete for. So because we are an entitlement community and we have a lower percentage of low to moderate income individuals, that puts it in the category of being an entitlement community.
Thank you. I was just curious. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director. Okay, we are on to item B, is a resolution to approve the purchase of 2 MPS Falcon 3100 portable camera trailer systems pursuant to section 2-458, subsection I-2 of the Waukegan Code of Ordinances for an amount not to exceed $118,000. Can I have a first and a second?
Motion.
Second.
First from Alderman Turner, second from Alderwoman Florian. Do I have to reread this again?
No.
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 All right, do we have any questions?
I'd like to make a comment, if I may. I just wanted to, you actually have 2 of them out in the parking lot over there. If you guys haven't had a chance to go look, but they're very impressive. And Chief Navarro was kind enough to kind of give me a overview or description of what they're capable of, and I went out and looked at them and saw Deputy Chief Chastain is out there actually working on one. So they are really impressive. They're going to add great capabilities to our public safety efforts, particularly related to these large-scale events such as Scoop, which is Scoop Waukegan, is coming up this weekend. And I think this is a no-brainer. And for what they're capable of, what they provide for us, this is an extremely reasonable price. I think you did a good job negotiating that with Chief. Thank you. So, yeah. If you guys, and before they get deployed, maybe tonight or tomorrow, you guys go out there and take a look at them. You're going to really be impressed with what they are and what they do. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Alderman Donenworth,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Chairman Hayes.
Aye. Motion passes. Item C is a resolution approving participation in the Lake County Home Consortium. May I have a motion and a second
So
for
moved.
agenda item C?
Second.
Okay, first from Alderwoman Newsome, second from Alderwoman Florian. Are there any questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Donenworth,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Chairman Hayes.
Aye. Motion passes. Item D is a resolution awarding a contract for the demolition of the animal shelter building to McDonough Demolition, the lowest qualified bidder, for a not-to-exceed amount of $24,500. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
First from Alderwoman Newsome, second from Alderwoman Florian. Roll call, please. Oh, you know what? Let me read the motion. So Public Works is seeking approval for the award of the demolition of the animal shelter building RFP to the lowest qualified bidder, McDonough Demolition, for a not-to-exceed amount of $24,500 to be charged to 307-1307-26369. The bid opening was on June 21st, 2023, with 6 bids being received. And there was a bid tab attachment, which I'm happy to walk through if anybody wants that.
Question?
Roll call, please.
Question?
Were there any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Keith.
I seem to recall, I thought that when we talked about this project, the demolition was included in the 1.2 million, or was it 1.2, 1.5 million that we're spending on the construction of the facility. I thought that, I seem to recall someone specifically asking, or specifically mentioned that the company that was doing the construction was going to demolish the existing building. Is that not accurate?
Originally, we weren't gonna tear the other building down. We were gonna keep it. So it wasn't discussed originally, because we were keeping the old building and building the new one. just to the west of it.
Right, we were gonna do something, that was gonna happen with that old building.
Well, eventually it was gonna be taken down, I believe, but originally we weren't talking about that as part of the bid. It was just the bid to build the new facility.
All right.
And now they've decided they need the whole space. I'm not quite sure why.
So we decided to build a new building, but not tear down the old building, and now we come back again and say we're gonna tear down the old building. That doesn't sound like very effective project planning to me.
Talk
All right,
to the
thanks.
chief.
Any other questions?
Yeah. No?
Do you want to ask him a question, Alderman Turner?
No?
No? Okay. I think we're set. Roll call, please.
Alderman Donenworth,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome. Chairman Hayes.
Aye. Motion passes. Item E is a motion to adopt a resolution approving a lease agreement with the Waukegan Chamber of Commerce for office space at 100 North Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. Can I have a first and a second for this? Item agenda E.
So move.
First from Alderwoman Newsome. Can I get a second? Second. Second from Alderman Donnerworth. Any questions? Alderwoman Florian.
I believe this was a well-written lease. I believe, I understand the point some people are, you know, making with this. I just don't think this is a good thing for the city to be doing at this point. Space in City Hall is at a premium. You know, we've already had to remodel some places to make more room for people. I just don't see where this is a good use of space. I don't think it's appropriate really for the city to be leasing out space to another entity, even though they're a nonprofit entity. There are other nonprofits in the city that do work for economic development of the city, not just the Chamber of Commerce, and I just think it's a bad look for us to pick one group to say, we want you to have space in our city hall.
Chimney Cricket, I agree with you.
Isn't that strange?
That is really strange.
Better circle this day on the calendar, everybody.
I have a
Write that
question.
down.
Alderman Turner, do you have any questions or comments?
No, Alderman Florian said it, and I'm in total, absolute agreement with Alderman Florian.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Alderwoman.
Can we
Bolton.
revisit the nature and intent of why this was even established? Can someone give us the history of this?
They were, I think, they were
I think
already,
he's
they're
about there.
already in here. I think they already have space in here somehow. Is that right, George?
Well, they use the conference room, I know, because they've been in there when I've come for my aldermanic briefings. They're in there holding their board.
I'm sorry, can you speak in the mic?
I'm sorry, when I've come for my aldermanic briefing on Thursday mornings at 9 o'clock, they're in the conference room using it for their board meeting. But I don't know that they have official space. Is there assistant here now? I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah. Well, I seem to recall in our briefing.
I don't know for sure. I believe there's some space that they have been using, but that's just observation. We could ask Chief of Staff Bridges to come in. He may have more familiarity with
George, can
it.
you hear us?
Yeah, I just wonder what caused this to even be an issue, why they have to use the space
Well, if you
here.
can get space for $10 a month, you're gonna take it, trust me. If I could get it for $10 a month, I would take it.
$10
I
a
mean,
year.
$10 a year, sorry. $10 a year, I would
You can
take
move
it.
your practice in here.
Yeah, I would. I would put it
Me
right
too.
down on
My
the first
business
floor.
too, yeah.
All right, maybe if we can, we'll see if Chief of Staff Bridges
I
comes
just
in.
was curious of why it was
My
even, like you
business
said,
is here.
comparison to other establishments.
Council,
I'm
maybe
just curious.
you could help.
Absolutely, and I'm sure Chief of Staff Bridges, when he arrives, may cover some of these points. The Waukegan Chamber of Commerce has formed a partnership with the City of Waukegan, and the City of Waukegan actually provides a payment, a stipend annually in the amount of $5,000 to the Waukegan Chamber of Commerce. That's just to, I'm not speaking on whether or not this is something that's good or bad. These are just things that the city has that is already established. And so this lease, this $10 lease, may be viewed in light of the partnership that the city does have, as well as the $5,000 payment that the city makes on an annual basis. And we do have Chief of Staff Bridges.
And so my original question, Chief, was why was this originally, or what was the origin of why this was established? Why are we?
The last contract that we had with them to lease our space was in 2018. That expired, I think, end of that year, fiscal year. And after reviewing it, it was brought to our attention that we should have a contract with them to be inside of our building per liability, and just to make sure that everything was done properly. So that's the reason why we brought it to you, to have a contract that is signed when they are using the city of Waukegan space.
Alderwoman Florian.
Well, why did they get space?
Don't we also have an agreement or a partnership with Waukegan Main Street? And didn't we used to have office space available to them? And don't we give them $20,000 a year or
Yes, we
something?
give them $25,000.
So how come they don't get this space?
They did not ask for the space.
Well, I'm asking, can I have some too?
Yes.
Me too.
I'm not sure
I want
about
my
the
space.
history of the chamber, of them having a space here. I don't have that history on here.
So what is the partner, what do we do, and what is this partnership? What,
They are economic development partners. They assist us with the advocating for our businesses that are located here in the city of Waukegan. They spotlight them. They make sure that they are have a direct access here to the city of Waukegan, so they can encourage growth of our businesses within the city. My director isn't in here anymore, but Director Noel and many others have been also a part of that. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you. I'm so used to seeing you right there. She could speak on it also because she was a partner with them before, but they have asked for the space. They've been meeting in the mayor's office twice a month. And then we gave them the space after someone else was asking, another elected official, a body was asking for the space to utilize, and we partnered with our Waukegan Chamber of Commerce to assist them.
wouldn't it make sense for the Chamber of Commerce to engage in commerce at the most basic level with a commercial entity rather than a governmental body? Should they be renting office space like everybody else does in one of the empty spaces on Genesee or County? And there's plenty of office space out there. It's granted, it's costs more than $10 a year, but that's market rate, and that's what they should be doing.
They have their own board. They are the ones that have pursued having a space here in direct connection with the city of Waukegan.
Are any of them here today?
Nope.
Yes, we do have a member. I don't want to speak on his behalf, but we do have a member here.
Would any member like to address the committee?
There's actually two of them. One is standing at the podium.
We've heard from one.
Different hat on.
All right, well, the way I see it, we can do a couple of different things. We can vote it down. We can vote to amend it if you guys feel that maybe you want to reject the lease. We can keep them in the space for a certain amount of time until they can find alternative space. We can hold it over and tell them that, hey, listen, we're going to figure out what market rent is, and we're going to charge you market rate rent. I think we can go about it a couple of different ways.
At this point, could I just ask that you hold it over? I was not involved in this. I just found out on Friday that this was happening. There has been a history of a partnership with the city. 20 years ago, when the Genesee Theater was under construction and the Planning and Zoning Office was in the old Penny's building, the chamber had an office there. They had one downstairs here up until 2 years ago, and then they went up to the third floor, I'm told, and now there's talk about it being back on the first floor again.
There.
So what I would suggest is if you could hold it over, and there could be an educational process between the chamber and the aldermen, because, you know, it's.
I would like to do that because, I mean, from my perspective, I see the events the chamber has. I know they've done scholarships for the kids and stuff, but I don't see, at least from my perspective, I haven't seen where there's support of business and economic development. So if I can be told exactly what's going on in that avenue, then I may be more willing to support something like this, but.
I'll pass it on to the chairman and the other board members.
Okay, so we have a first to hold it over. Can I have a second? Motion to hold it over? Is that, am I going about this the right way?
I think if
You can just hold it
I
over.
can
You can just hold it over? Okay.
All right, thank you.
You don't have to have a second to hold over.
Yeah, you could just hold it over.
Perfect. Thank you. Good.
Will do. Thank you.
And so just to clarify, this will be to the first meeting of, to the next CDC meeting, August, I think, 7th?
First meeting in August.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Chief. Agenda item F is a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the execution of a subdivision public improvement agreement with PT Land LLC for the River Glen subdivision finalization of public improvements. Can I get a first and
I'll
a
make
second to item F?
I'll make
First.
the motion. Second.
Okay, first from Alderman Turner, a second from Alderwoman Florian. Are there any questions to the motion?
I'd like to ask, I'm a huge proponent of our park district, and I'd like to know if there's gonna be a park in this subdivision.
There was an impact fee agreement that was negotiated with the prior developers, and the current developers have been advised to discuss the impact fee agreements with all of the other bodies for which there were existing agreements. So the developer will be following up with the other governmental units.
So
where
that
they
just
have
means
impact
they
fee
could
agreements.
just make a donation to the park district and they could use it somewhere else, though.
I have not refreshed my recollection on what that impact fee agreement says.
I haven't seen I tried to find a layout and I couldn't find it. I don't know if I just didn't look in the right place. Is there any open space
Here, I have a
available?
layout for you.
Oh.
There is a layout within one of the documents that was posted there.
Oh, I must just not have been able to find it. Okay.
It's quite all right.
Oh, that's a nice space. That's the size of almost 4 lots. So that would make a great, and it's kind of almost in the center.
Yeah, I don't recall what the impact fee agreement with the park district said, so,
Okay, thank you.
yes.
Roll call. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Donenworth?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Florian?
Aye.
Alderman Newsome?
Aye.
Chairman Hayes?
Aye. Motion passes. Item G is a motion to adopt an ordinance approving zoning calendar number 2713, the site plan approval for an additional drive-through lane at the existing restaurant at 850 South Waukegan Road, which I believe is a Culver's. Can I get a first and a second?
First.
Second.
All right, a first from Alderwoman Florian, a second from Alderman Turner. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Donenworth?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Florian?
Aye.
Alderman Newsome?
Aye.
Chairman Hayes?
Aye. Motion passes. Agenda item H is a motion to adopt an ordinance amending a conditional use permit and approving a variance for zoning calendars 2714 and 2715 for the operation of a sports facility at an educational institution at 3106 Belvedere Road. Can I have a first and a second?
First.
Second.
First from Alderman Turner, second from Alderwoman Newsome. Are there any questions to the motion?
I don't really have a question, but I just, I'm excited this project is going forward. I hope everyone will support it. There's a lot to this. I mean, there's a lot of conditions that have been put on it. I'm assuming, I know I sat through planning and zoning and watched you guys, but you can make it work with what we've asked, right?
There's 2 conditions that we asked.
Would you come up to the podium, please? In particular, there's a condition related to their request to IDOT, which the timing is out of their control.
Okay.
And so staff understands that and is willing to work on a resolution for that.
Okay, if you don't mind, if you could introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Preston Kendall. I'm the president of Cristo Rey St. Martin College Prep. The two conditions that we actually have concerns about are 21 and 22. 21 is just simply that it looks like they dropped in a similar condition to the driving range, and it mentions the driving range, but we don't have a driving range, we have a soccer field. So it looks like there has to be some wordsmithing there with monitoring bird activity and making sure that it's not detrimental to birds. And believe me, our student environmental club would have a fit if it was detrimental to birds, and we'd be working with them to come up with solutions. So that's one. And then 22 really kind of goes with 24. 24 says the applicant must continue to coordinate the Illinois Department of Transportation for a traffic light. So this all boils down to the fact that we are looking, just for people that know where we are, we're at the old Kmart on Belvedere, and we've purchased the old Bell Lane Motel and tore that down, and then we just recently purchased the Slumberland Motel and tore that down. So two big eyesores on Belvedere. But the issue for us is when IDOT came and widened Belvedere, we worked with them to have cutouts for a new entrance to our parking lot that lined up with Birch on the south side of Belvedere with the hope of getting a light. And we have submitted a traffic study to IDOT, and we are told by our traffic study consultants that it's a 2-year process. So we are trying to work on getting a traffic light at that location. If we get a traffic light at that location, our landscaping for the entire parking lot that this calls in, not just the landscaping for the sports field, but for our entire property, looks very different than if we don't get a light. If we don't get a light, we're likely to keep, we'll have a small driveway at Birch, but we're likely to keep the main entrance where it is near the Burger King. And we would landscape differently. But if we do get a light, the frontage of Belvedere becomes a valuable property, and we have the possibility of making outlots that we could lease long-term or even sell for future development. So we would then landscape a very different way if we had the light. So that's our issue. We can't really pull the trigger and go in for a permit on landscaping until we have resolution of the traffic light. So what I'd like to do with 22 is, rather than putting it after we get approval of the CUP for the sports field, but tie it back to once we get a definitive answer from IDOT on whether we are going to have a traffic light or not, that maybe let the clock start there. But I will tell you that we started looking at what it would cost us to landscape the entire parking lot, and we worked with a company before COVID, and back before COVID it was over $3 million. So if we set a timeline and you want us to landscape this thing, we have to do a lot of fundraising. That's going to take time. We have to develop plans, then start fundraising. That's a multi-year project.
So do we need to amend this then in order to pass it?
I would suggest that we amend both conditions. On condition number 21, with regard to the concerns about birds, I would suggest that we change it to require Cristo Rey to have a consultation with Lake County Audubon and see if they have any suggestions. If they don't, then I think it's fine. And if there is a bird incident, then we'll...
Well, I think what he's saying is just because it just says when the driving range is not in use.
Right, understood. But we've also had a conversation with them, and I thought that this had gotten amended, and I missed it in my review, that they're not lowering the sports netting. It's a different kind of sports netting. We were initially under the impression that it was like what you see for a field kick in football, that it went up and then came right down. That's not the case here, which we now understand. So we're okay with not requiring anything if the bird specialists think it's okay to not require anything. And this is 25 feet high, which is similar to the building heights in that area. So it's probably not as much of an obstruction as some other netting might be.
Okay.
So, we can negotiate language that both sides are okay with, if Cristo Rey's okay with that. And then with regard to the parking lot, we know, even from our own projects, that IDOT is slower than any of us would like. Understandable, they're having staffing issues and all of that, and that's kind of a universal thing. We also understand the fundraising issue around that. So because it's an ordinance, I would like to see some dates set in there that we can check performance on.
Could we say something like 6 or 12 months after the light is approved?
I think we
or
could
denied, approved,
yeah,
whatever ends up happening?
I would say we should do something like 6 months, within 6 months after disposition of an IDOT determination, and then up to 24, or at your discretion, 36 months to implement.
6 months to develop the plan and then start going out to donors.
How long do you think it would take to actually do the planning? Can you be planning the?
I really don't know, but I think 6 months is probably plenty for the planning, but a normal capital campaign would be at least 3 years.
Yeah, understood. Can you be planning the landscaping that isn't impacted by the entrance point ahead of time? So that that part is in place regardless of which route it goes?
Yes.
So that'll be moved up within that 24-month timeline.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what-
that we can kind of everything on the west, the north, and the east, we can probably figure out. It's really everything to the south that's the real issue, and that's
Sure.
the parking lot.
Okay, so one of the things that the council has previously done is deferred the approval to the Development Review Board, which, as you know, is a board made up of leadership of staff from multiple departments throughout the city. So if you'd be willing, and Cristo Ray would be willing to take that approach, maybe that they need to update the Development Review Board within 18 months from today's date, and thereafter at least every 6 months.
That sounds like
So
a
we'd be
great
voting
idea.
to approve it with the amendments to the 2 items on the CUP.
With those 2
And then it would go
conditions.
before the development board for
Right.
following up on those items.
And then it doesn't have to come back to city council. Development Review Board can meet more often.
But it's going to be 24 months before we get anything out of IDOT, so.
So we could make it
Maybe
24
make
months
it
then,
24.
though. We actually know of a surprise that came faster recently, so. Yes. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes, we would just need a motion to amend the motion in line with the amendments to conditions 21 and 22.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, motion to amend.
Can I just ask one more thing? So, did our requirements change since they originally did their parking lot? Why now all of a sudden why wasn't this done when they did the parking lot originally, I guess is
So
my question.
the original CUP did have some conditions related to parking lot landscaping that there hasn't been performance on at this point, partly because of the traffic
Rut road.
signal, though it wasn't enumerated properly in the original ordinance. But we've been aware that there's been a dialogue with IDOT and a pursuit of that traffic signal.
So this was originally applied for in April, right? And we're here now. Considering the amount of work that's gone into this is really fast. I mean, this is, I've seen a lot of these come through, and there's a lot of work that's gone into figuring out. So kudos to you and your team.
Thank you.
For bringing this, and I'm grateful that they're bringing this project to us. I'm sure Alderman Hayes, since it's in his ward,
Thrilled.
it's gonna look so much better than what we had there for so long.
And it's
So-
a great amenity for the students, for sure.
Exactly.
It's a benefit to everybody.
So,
Okay.
enough said.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. So we are voting on the amendment now, is that correct?
Yes, the
amended
amendment to the
amendment.
motion. And then, assuming that this is approved, we'll vote on the actual motion as amended.
Okay, so roll call on the amendment to the motion. We have a first and a second already.
Alderman Donenworth,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Chairman Hayes.
Aye. Motion to amend passes. Now we're voting on the
The amended
the
motion.
amended motion. Okay.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
This
Oh,
is
I need a first and
Motion and second.
a first and a
First.
second. Okay, Alderwoman Florian, second from Alderwoman Newsome. Roll call, please.
Alderman Donenworth,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Chairman Hayes.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very
Great.
much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We'll see you
And
soon.
thank you all, but thank you too to the staff that helped do this. I'm a very impatient guy, but thank you for pushing this through. We appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Nice job. All right. I lost my place, so give me a minute.
Aye.
All right. Aye. Thank you. And
And Mr. Chairman, if I can call up, maybe you were about to say this, I'm sorry.
no, please go ahead.
I, J, and K are all for the same project, though they're separate motions.
Okay.
And the petitioner is here.
The petitioner is here. Okay. Would you like me? Is there a more efficient way of handling it? Just want me to read them all, or just address each of them?
Doesn't hurt to just read them all,
Okay.
and then we know what they all are. and
Okay.
If there are questions.
So, agenda item A is a motion to adopt an ordinance approving zoning calendar number 2716, a variance from requirements to provide vegetative screening and bury cables for a solar voltaic installation at 2082 North Buttrick Street. Item J is a motion to adopt an ordinance approving zoning calendar number 2717, a variance from fence requirements for ornamental style and prohibition of barbed wire at 2082 North Buttrick Street. And agenda item K is a motion to adopt an ordinance approving zoning calendar 2718, a conditional use permit for a solar photovoltaic field at 2082 North Buttrick Street. Can I have a motion and a second?
So
for all-
moved.
For all three? Okay, Alderwoman Florian?
Second.
Alderman Donnerworth, are there any questions?
Yeah, I have some questions. This is in my ward.
Can we close the door back there, please? Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is in my ward, and I have some questions about it because you're asking for a variance to provide vegetative screening and bury cables for this. I don't know, what is the variance? What's the requirement and what are we varying from?
The requirement is that they have vegetative screening, which is planted bushes or trees,
Right.
and that the cables are buried.
Okay.
Because this is a Superfund site with a landfill that has a cap, you can't have plants with roots other than grasses and things. You can't have trees or bushes with roots, and you can't bury cables in the landfill.
So the
and-
variance is to not do that.
Correct.
Okay.
It's a variance from the requirements to do those things. Same thing with the fence. We require an ornamental style fence.
Yeah.
And we prohibit barbed wire.
Right.
So this is to keep the fence that's already approved by US EPA and exists there now, a chain link, which is not ornamental, and it does have barbed wire.
Well, why are we doing that?
That's the required fence by the US EPA.
Is chain link and barbed wire?
Is the existing fence, the chain link with the barbed wire. So that requires a variance from our requirement for an ornamental fence on the frontage
Got it.
and the prohibition on barbed wire.
Thank you. And finally, item K, and this is the one that's gonna be problematic for me, but go ahead.
The conditional use permit.
Yeah.
So there is an existing conditional use permit on the site that was approved some years ago. We offered to extend it, but the petitioner preferred a new conditional use permit, and if you want to come and speak to it, you're welcome to come up. There was a change in the organizational structure of the entity operating it, and so changing the name and all of those things is just much cleaner, and
Right.
they were willing to go through the process, and they have, and Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of all of these items.
So here's where I'm going with this. How large is this entire photovoltaic field? Is it the whole thing from Western all the way down to Glen Flora?
It's 70 acres, is that correct, within the site?
Yeah,
Please.
you will.
Hi.
Hey,
My
what's your
is-
name?
My name is Josh Burkhow. I'm the Director of Engineering for BQ Energy. We
Yes,
are
sir.
the developer of the Yeoman Creek Solar Project.
Okay.
Yeah, the project size itself, forgive me, I don't have the exact acreage in front of me. It's roughly 20 acres. I don't believe it's a full 70.
So if you can picture, is it from west, or from Sunset Boulevard or Gulf Road or whatever up there, to the north? How far south does it go?
It basically, it goes south to the end of the landfill. So there's 3 landfills in that area. You know where North Buttrick actually turns? And Buttrick,
Yeah.
apologies.
Yes, okay, gotcha,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. You can tell I'm not local, right? Yeah.
Buttrick.
Sorry, yeah, where Buttrick turns, that's roughly where the landfill stops. And so it basically runs the length of Buttrick, and then from there, west to the creek.
Okay. West to where?
To the creek, there's a creek running north-south.
Here's my concern. There's actually a lot of wildlife over there. There's deer, coyote, there's beavers over there, and some other stuff, raccoons, possums.
Yes.
There's a lot of wildlife, and my concern obviously is, I mean, I know we're an urban environment, but Waukegan is very unique in that we do have a lot of wildlife along our lakefront and other areas in the city, including this area that we're now going to develop. Has any consideration been given in planning on the impact that that's going to have? Like, because there are beaver over there in that creek, has any consideration been given to engineering to allow them to remain? Or is it just like, we're just gonna go bulldoze everything, close off the creek and?
Oh, well, we can't close the creek, certainly. That would require years of permitting with the Army Corps of Engineers. But as part of the plans, there's actually 3 landfills.
Yes,
We're
sir.
only building on one of them.
Okay,
And then there is also a large area of wetlands, which we actually purchased as part of the project that is not planned for development at all. Because again, it's a wetlands, we can go
Right.
through a multi-year process with the Corps of Engineers, but why would we do that?
yeah.
Yeah, and so
Well,
there
you
is,
could do
there is a
the-
large amount of land that will remain open space as part of this. 2 of it is landfills that are under the US EPA, and 1 of it is large wetlands.
Good enough, thank you.
Is there any, like we were talking earlier about the netting and the birds, and has there been any studies about does solar panels affect wildlife somehow? Like, can the deer just walk around them? Can the beavers just walk, like, they're not gonna get electrocuted, they're not
No.
gonna,
No.
they're not gonna start glowing?
No, they certainly won't.
Any
The-
more than they do from being in the landfill
for whatever
already?
reason. Yes, no, and as you know, right, if deer need like a 12-foot or higher fence to block them out, so certainly, deer will certainly be able to jump over our fence. That's,
Wow.
we don't intend for that, but there's,
They
we're
can
not-
get out if they
we're
want
not
to.
gonna put up a 12-foot fence, so we're not gonna be able to stop them.
Okay.
But we do have that large wildlife area just south of the plant. And we did have to do a threatened and endangered species study as part of our work with the EPA to make sure that there were no protected species on site.
Okay, cool.
Cool, thank you.
And then one more question, and I'm sorry for sounding dumb when I asked this question, but as I was reading the information we had, and it talked about selling electricity to low-income people, and so how does your company make money off of this, is what I don't understand. Like, what's in it for you, I guess, is I don't get that.
Gotcha. Well, the rate at which we sell electric power out of the plant is high enough that we make our money back plus whatever return we need. In general, that is going to be less than the rate people are currently paying for electric energy from ComEd or whomever they're buying from.
So you're gonna give some electricity to the school, and you're gonna sell some to low-income people, but then there'll be other electricity that you'll be able to sell at market rate, basically?
Pretty much everything that we sell will be at a rate that allows us to get our return on investment, but is generally going to be less than what people are currently paying now who are buying it from
Okay,
us.
and then you also get tax credits for doing this too,
Yes,
right?
there's tax credits, and that is far more complicated than the engineering. And as
And
I
you're
said,
not
as
the-
I said,
and you're not the numbers guy?
I'm the director of engineering, so I make sure the plant works.
Thank you for answering that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Call for the vote.
Okay, roll call, please.
Which one?
Oh, are we taking all 3, or are we just gonna take one?
Corporation Council says we can take all 3 as long as the vote is the same for all 3, then we'll just.
Right,
vote will be the same.
if there's a consensus that,
Can we get a consensus?
through the discussion, you all feel that you're going to vote similarly as to all 3 items, then there is no harm in voting, taking the 2 variances and the conditional use permit together. However, if you feel that the conditional use permit's fine, but the variance not so much, then you should probably split it up. But from the discussion, it sounds like the variances are required by the EPA. There's specifics, rationale given behind it, so.
Okay. Sounds good. I think we can take them all at once.
I agree.
Okay, so I had a motion by Alderman Florian and a second by Alderman Donenworth. Is that correct?
Yes.
Alderman Donenworth?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Florian?
Aye.
Alderman Newsome?
Aye.
Chairman Hayes?
Aye. All three pass. Agenda item L is a motion to adopt an ordinance creating a Class A tavern for Pete's Pub, Inc., DBA Sunset Bowl at 2015 North Lewis Avenue. May I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
First from Alderman Turner, second from Alderman Donenworth. Are there any questions to the motion?
I just wanted to point out, and I think this is only under executive content, the son's name is misspelled, I think. The last name starts with a G, right?
Yes.
And here a couple times his name starts with a C. I'm assuming him and his mom have the same name, so.
Go Chiefs.
Yeah. So it's just a clerical thing, I'm sure.
Okay, any other questions?
Just want to comment that the Gochis family has owned that and operated Sunset Bowl since 1995? 97, thank you. And they have been a staple in the community, great business owners and operators, no problems, no issues up there at the bowling alley. I'm totally in support of this application.
Thank you, Alderman Turner. Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
No.
Alderman Donenworth?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Florian?
Aye.
Alderman Newsome?
Nay.
Chairman Hayes?
Aye. Motion passes. Item M, I think, is being passed. Am I correct?
Held over, yeah.
Or held over? Okay. Brings us to,
Continued, I guess you could say.
okay, item M is being continued. Reports and communications are being none. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second it too.
Okay, you guys got it?
They're both the same time.
All right, everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:02. Thank you.